outgroup language. Yeah, there it is. Have you ever noticed how one group of people can use a particular word or tell a particular joke and it's fine? And a different group of people say the same thing and it's not so fine? How many of you have any siblings? How many of you have ever made fun of them? It's in the job description. We all do it. All right. So let's say you're speaking poorly about one of your siblings to a friend of yours, okay? The very next day, you hear this same friend saying the same things that you did the previous day to someone else. Look at And you say to this person, like, what are you doing? And they say, well, you said the same thing yesterday. And we come back by saying, yes, that's my brother or that's my sister. You see, when you're in the family or in the group, there's one set of rules. If you're outside that family or outside that group, there's a different set of rules. Is it right, wrong, fair? Who cares? Don't waste your time on that. Those are the rules. Violate them at your own risk. And don't go to the, oh yeah, but some of my best friends are. You see where this goes. That's so gay or that's so retarded. We hear this a lot, particularly on a college campus. Would you agree? All right. So I have nieces and nephews who are fond of saying these statements. And they know what I do for a living, for all the good it has done. And they'll say these things. And I was like, you guys, you are killing me here. And they were like, well, Auntie, we don't mean anything by it. You know, and how many times do I say, well, just because you don't mean it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Okay, who wants an aunt like that? So I say, listen, it is this simple. These phrases are never intended as compliments. It's not like someone comes up to you and say, hey, you are so retarded, and you're like, finally someone acknowledges it. You know? They are always intended as disparaging remarks. So then my niece says, well, Auntie, sometimes it just slips out. I'm like, nope, not buying that one either. Let's say that all of us here, we're going to volunteer at the Special Olympics. Okay? I'm going to bet a lot of money that the phrase, that's so retarded, or you're a retard, probably are not going to come out of your mouth that day. Would you agree? Yes. Most people would know for that day not to say those things. And the thing is this, is if you can stop it for one day, you can stop. And we have to stop it. These kind of throwaway comments, we think, you know, they don't cause any harm, but they land on somebody. Equal versus equitable. So let's say I'm going to give all of you a brand new pair of shoes, okay? I'm going to treat all of you equally. That means that everyone here is getting a brand new pair of shoes, and those shoes are a size 6 women. Now, some of you are like, woohoo, and others like, I'm out, okay? And then what I'm going to do is institutionalize it, meaning is that we're going to have a 100-yard dash. And in order for you to participate, you're all going to have to go 100 yards back, but you have to be wearing those shoes. And don't like try to find loopholes, like, well, I'll just duct tape. No. Your feet have got to be in these shoes to compete. And up here, there's a lot of good prizes. You know, we have a $100 million bucket of money, you know, your dream job, your dream spouse, good things. You want these things. The starting gun shoots off, and you all start running. Are the best runners necessarily going to win? No, I dare say some of the most talented runners are not going to win. Why? Because I set some of you up to succeed at the expense of others of you. Some of you might be like, well, Maura, it's not fair, you know. And I say, hey, quit your whining. I treated you equally. And everyone else seemed to do fine. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Go away. That's treating people equally. Treating people equitably means that everyone here gets a brand new pair of shoes, but those shoes would fit. The difference between equal and equitable. Treating people equally is not always equitable or fair. Get in heated discussions, I want you to think of this acronym, BAR. I don't want you to go to the bar. I want you to think of the acronym. And step one is I want you to take a deep breath. Everyone here, please take a deep breath. When you take a deep breath, what happens? Calms you down. It's that simple. Step two is I want you to acknowledge what the other person has said. In order for me to acknowledge what you have said, do I have to agree with you? Nope. Critical distinction. We all want to be heard. We all want to be heard. So just acknowledging and not necessarily agreeing makes a big difference. And step three is to respond. So let me give you an illustration. I was doing a day-long training, and after I shared that I am lesbian, this one person got up, and you could tell he was really impacted around the religious intersections, okay? And this is where our intersections around identity start to get challenging. So he stood up, and he told me I was going to hell, that I was a sinner. You kind of see the direction of this, right? So I needed to take a deep breath. Now, don't make an event out of this, like, because that sends a different message, correct? So I took my breath. Now I had to acknowledge what he has said. So I said, you know what? I really need to acknowledge that it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of chutzpah for you to say that. Do the rest of you agree? And they're like, and I said, in fact, you're probably not the only one in this room who believes that. And even if you are, there are a gazillion people outside this room who would agree with you. In fact, I grew up hearing and believing many of the same things you just shared. Now, did I do a good job of acknowledging him? Outstanding. And so now it's my turn to respond. And I said, you know, our perspectives on this particular issue couldn't be more different. Why might I have said on this particular issue? I don't want to make a bigger division because there is something that we have in common. In fact, there is probably a lot we have in common. But sometimes the one thing that we don't is a deal breaker. Now, he and I are never going to be best buds, okay? The divide is just too big. However, a level of civility. Like there has to be something that we can tether to one another. It might be, you know, a sports team, you know, how about those socks? Or it could be music. Or it could be that, you know, your kids play on the same soccer team. Or whatever. But I know you can find something in common with everyone. And you have to hang on to that. Why? Because at the very level, at the very bottom, civility sometimes is the best. But what we happen too much is we do this process in reverse, which is not so good. Instead, step one, instead of respond, what do we do that begins with an R? React. What's the difference between respond and react? There it is. It's all about thought. When we react, it's more visceral, right? Whereas responding is more thoughtful. Step two, instead of acknowledge, what do we do that begins with an A? Yeah, a woman after my own heart. Attack, right? And then we get around to breathing. Ever done this? So here's your choice. I talk about raising the bar of civility and communication. This BAR has changed the quality of my life. you have a choice here. I want you to take one more deep breath. But when you take it this time, I want you to try to speak. Go for it. It's not happening, is it? You see, taking a deep breath should be our default setting. Why? Because first, it calms you down at a time you probably need to be calm. 2, it buys you enough time to have that one thought so you don't act out of emotions. And 3, it is impossible for you to say anything you might regret. I would like for you to do what I'm doing. All right. And then in a clockwise direction, just form a circle, just like this. And then take it down slowly till you're about waist level. And look at what direction it's heading in now. Right? It's like, poof. And yeah, you can try it again for those of you. Yeah. All right, you can do it at the privacy of your own homes. So I will leave you with this truth. You see, it's all about perspective. This never changed. Your perspective of it changed. When you're here in the world and you look up here, you see the world one way, but when you're up here looking down, you see it completely different. But what happens is sometimes we get stuck in our dualistic thinking. You know, these people are saying, no, it's clockwise. And you're like, no, it's counterclockwise. It's like, no, you moron, it's clockwise. No, you idiot. And what happens is people stay stuck in their own perspective, right? We've seen that. And it never dawns on us that maybe we're both right. And so part of what we all hope to is to be able to gain a perspective.